What's going on, beautiful people? What's going on, beautiful people? We got another amazing show lined up for you beautiful people. Black Millennial Money, about to get it in. Where you calling from? Where you tuning in from? I'm in Washington, D.C. Alicia, what's going on? Happy Thursday, Latricia. What's going on, beautiful people? Drop where you coming in from. We got an amazing show on how to beat inflation with the stock market. What's going on, Lucella? What's going on, Lindsay? Hope I'm saying these names right, honestly. Dayton, Ohio in the house. Ebony Jones, Mogul. What's going on? Florida in the building. Yes, sir. So we got a beautiful show lined up. I want to thank y'all, beautiful people, for tuning in on time. Let me turn this down a little bit. Hey, how many of y'all heard that J. Cole album? What y'all think of the J. Cole album? The new ones. Y'all rocking with the J. Cole album? Y'all rocking with the J. Cole album? Fort Worth, Texas. What's going on, man? Hey, I'm in D.C. right now, and it's 90-something degrees. I can only imagine what we're looking at like in Texas right now. I can only imagine. So we gonna let the people join in. Let me just say, let me preface this conversation by saying it's about to get real. So if you guys don't know, if you don't know who Todd Capital is, you're going to learn today, man, because we're about to do a deep dive on how to be financially free, how to be successful in the stock market, and how to beat inflation. These are conversations that people outside of our race has been having for generations, but we're just now becoming privy to this knowledge. And with the platform that I built, I feel like it's my responsibility to spread that information. So for those of y'all tuning in, my name is Xavier Snow. I'm the CEO of Black Affluence. I founded this company in 2018 with my brother Dominic Weeks. Our goal is just to help people escape the rat race, right? It's like how we both have degrees, but we're still struggling, living check to check. There has to be something more. So we really built this platform to help inspire people and to encourage people that want to do better economically. She said 95 degrees, man. I feel you. It's about the same. We probably pushing 100 right now in DC. We got heat warnings going on right now. What's going on in my love life? So look, thank you all for tuning in, being on time, being great, beautiful black people. But I really want to know where y'all at right now. Where y'all at right now? Not just geographically, but like mentally, right? Financially. Are y'all doing all right? Seriously. Because it's been a lot that's happened in the past year and some change, right? 2020 hit a lot of people with an uppercut. And if you haven't prepared, right? If 2020 didn't teach you one thing, it's that you need to prepare, right? You have to prepare if you want to succeed because you cannot predict the financial future, right? So what this platform is really to be about is just to expand and give people an opportunity to gain this information from the people who have it. So if you have a question about investments, right? If you have a question on how to start your business and how to escape the rat race, then you're going to want to tune in this conversation because it's not for everybody. Let me just say that. It's not for everybody, right? Everybody's not going to be willing to put in the work. Everybody's not going to grind hard and do what it takes for them to reach the next level. And that's cool. But I assume that you're here. The reason why you're here on a Thursday and not somewhere else watching TV or somewhere else getting messed up is because you want something more. And you want to reach for something more than what you see right now. And really, that's what we're about. So, y'all, please just let me know what are y'all struggling with currently, financially. What are some topics that y'all really want to know? Because right now, I wanna be the facilitator of the knowledge. In order for me to do that, I got to know where you people are, where y'all are, and how I can help spread that information. Okay, someone says, "Hey, I'm good, but I'm focused on going to the next level." So let's talk about it, right? What is the next level, right? Do you have a plan? Is your plan in motion, right? Because a lot of people say they want something, but it's one thing to want something, and it's another thing to prepare and to plan for it. So you got to be real, right? I assume that you are working towards your goals, right? But most people just talk about it. Somebody says, right, let us know the 411. So yeah, I'm about to let y'all know, but honestly, I feel like I'm just a messenger right now because I've been behind the scenes for a minute, and I've learned a lot in these past few years running this company, and I'm ready to share this information. So if you guys are looking to invest and you're tired of just getting no returns and savings, you're going to want to tune in because financial freedom, it's a long journey, but it starts with you taking the first step. And that is right now tuning into this live. So my boy Mr. Oglesby, good sir, will be joining us very soon. Trice Happy, setting up marketing campaigns on social media. See, now that's something I can definitely talk about. That is actually my cup of tea. I've been running a digital marketing agency for the past 3 years. I help people and nonprofits grow their companies with social media. So we can definitely talk about that. You can either reach out to me directly or through this page. Um, I'm at CEO Xavier Snow. Someone says I'm just trying to draw more customers to the site and convert. So yeah, I feel you. You're just trying to draw more customers to your site. You're trying to get that traffic, right? And you just want to make sure that you're not wasting your time creating content that doesn't convert. I understand that, right? We can have conversations about all these things, but I need you guys to tell me what you want to talk about, right? So we can definitely get it cracking. What other financial problems or questions that you guys have that you want someone to talk about and to do a deep dive on? Let me know so I can set that up for our next interview. DMV Realtor Matchmaker, what's going on? DMV in the house. So look, we're about to get this party started, y'all. Thank you for everybody joining us and tuning in. We got a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful show going on for y'all. My man's Todd Capital. He's running a few minutes behind, but I want to make sure that I let y'all know a little bit about myself and what the goals are for this platform, because it's not enough for one person to make it out the community, right? We've been doing that for way too long. It's not enough for one person to make it out. Okay? We have to find a way to collaboratively create a community of wealthy millionaire millennials, right? Say that 3 times fast. We have to collaborate to build communities of knowledge and education. And this is really where it starts, right? We spend hours and hours on social media. We spend just scrolling on TikTok. I know I've done it, but at the end of the day, are you progressing? Are you building something that's going to last beyond yourself? Are you doing what it takes for you to reach your next level? Or are you just sitting around and letting life pass you by, right? You gotta, and only you can answer that, but I'm just saying, theoretically, are you living your best life or are you watching other people live their best life? So let's have this conversation. How to beat inflation. Today we're going to be talking about the stock market. We're going to be talking about how to get started investing with options, how to make money with real estate, right? If you ever thought about owning a vending machine, we're going to touch on that as well. So we're going to have these deep conversations, but I want this to be very, very interactive, meaning if you have a question, don't be afraid to ask that question, because I guarantee you somebody else in this chat has the same exact question that you have. But because you didn't ask it, you actually depriving somebody else of the answer that really would have helped them as well. So please don't be afraid to ask questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Trust me, we've all been beginners at something. Nobody just, even Charles, right, with all the properties and money that he's making right now, he was a newbie and he had to take his first course. He had to find out the hard way, right, for him to reach his status that he's at right now, where he has passive income coming in. He's able to do a lot of things and he's able to move because he took the first step. So you got to ask yourself, are you willing to take the first step? Are you willing to invest into yourself, whether that be education, time, um, really, and really, when you think about investing, and we're going to get started soon, trust me, guys. It's definitely a dope conversation about to take place, and I will be shutting up for the majority of this conversation, but I'm a deep thinker. And I really think of everything I do as an investment, right? Whether it's the food that I eat, right? Because that's investing into the person I'm becoming. Whether it's the friends that I keep, right? Those are the people around me that I am becoming, their reflection. Go through your phone right now and look at the last 5 people you texted. What were those conversations about? Was it positive? Were you gossiping? Were y'all trading information? Or were y'all just like really, what is those conversations you having? So every friend that you keep is an investment. Every food that you eat is an investment. Every thought that you think is an investment. I'll say that again. Every thought that you think is an investment. Every word that you speak is an investment. You speak things into existence. So it's become so important for us to become intentional with our time, because at the end of the day, we create our realities through the actions and the thoughts that we think. And my big brother just joined Tide Capital. He just joined. We're really about to get cooking because, man, it's gonna be a great show. So I hope you guys got your pen, your papers, got your questions ready to go, because we're about to go deep into this game. And I really hope you guys are ready for what we got cooked up. So I'm gonna wait for Mr. Todd to drop his see if he sent that request. Okay, there it goes. There it goes. Let me add him in the thing. Get it.
What's going on, good sir?
What's going on, King? How you feeling, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm actually, I ran a little bit over. I was getting a haircut. We're going out of town today, so we're going out of town tomorrow morning.
Man, I know you got to catch them international flights, brother. I'm not mad.
Yeah, we're
Where
trying.
you
We're trying to build out here, man.
trying to build it, man? You've been building for a while, man. So, like, honestly, we had a conversation last year. Well, actually, it wasn't me. It was Brianna Rose. She interviewed you, and
Yeah.
you was able to give some free game for the people. However, we got a few followers that may have not caught that interview. So for the people that don't know who you are and how amazing you are, can you please just share the information on what you do and who you are?
Yeah. So my name is Charles Oglesby, but most people know me as Todd Millionaire, and you know, I just been just building. My undergrad degree is in finance. Oh shoot, undergrad degree was in finance, and then after I left college, I ended up working in financial advising. So I worked as a Series 7 financial advisor with Edward Jones. Did that for some time. Then I ended up being a private banker. So I worked in private banking for a little bit of time as well. The difference between financial advising and private banking are that financial advising means that I kind of work with pretty much anybody who has money. But in private banking, I deal with clients who only have $250,000 in assets or more. So both experiences allowed me to kind of grow as a professional, allowed me to grow as a business person, and just gave me a lot of exposure to just investing from both the high level and both the moderate level, because they approach it different ways in different firms. So from there, ended up going to law school. So did the whole law school thing. So I have my JD, and then from there went to get an MBA at Pepperdine. I always tell people that I over-indexed on education, and I think it made me a better person. I think it added a ton of value. I think a big part of the reason why people kind of are attracted to me is because of that piece, which I think will become a little bit more insightful, allowed me to, I think, become a better critical thinker, more analytical, learn how to apply the information to the facts as opposed to just memorizing the facts. And I think that's important. And then as Sweet Talk mentioned, I did work at a family office, which took it even higher. So there was one specific family that had $200 million in assets. So it's interesting how that works. It's like I went from working with people who were dollar cost averaging, bringing over like $30,000 accounts, went to $250,000 accounts, and then I went to $200 million accounts. And now run a company called Untitled Capital, which really just helps the everyday person build wealth. So it's not about managing the wealth of the wealthy. It's about helping the non-wealthy build wealth.
Man, I love that, like, on so many levels, because not only did you take what you learned, but you took what the community need and you brought it back. And that's full circle, man. That's to me, that's living your purpose.
Right.
So I'm thankful that we can even touch on these conversations, because that energy exchange is so valuable. So I do want to touch on inflation, right? I'm gonna just jump right in, because we don't really have time to race as far as a financial future goes. So we understand that inflation right now is a hot topic due to the Fed giving out all the stimulus money and all this money being circulated. However, there are ways traditionally where we can beat the stock market. Can you talk about how us as a people beat inflation? Can you talk about how we can leverage the stock market to beat inflation and to actually come out ahead of all of this?
So I think I'm pretty sure inflation is 3% per year, but I think now we're like double that, so like 7 or 8, and so we're seeing like numbers. You guys see.
Oh wait, hold up, man. I think you're cutting out.
Oh man, I'm pulling up on this right now, so I should be strong. Can you hear me?
He's pulling up to the crib. He gotta pull up to the back cave and get situated. So, but like I say, y'all, we about to do this deep dive. Drop your questions in the question box if you have a question on investing, real estate, stock markets. What's going on, Joseph Stevens? We got some Black excellence going on, indeed, right? Going that education. I hope you guys have your notes. I told y'all to get a pen and paper. I told y'all we about to go deep. So my man Charles Oglesby III is about to drop the game on how to beat inflation, right? If you don't know what inflation is, then you need to look it up, because you should know what inflation is by now. Inflation is the reason why your bread is costing so much. What's going on? You there? It's coming back, but I can't. You still got the ring of death right now, so I think you got to get a better signal. What's going on, Natural Me? We just diving deep, man. We just diving deep. Anytime great minds get together, forces try to block us. So we just gotta keep it moving. We gotta keep it moving. He got disconnected, but trust me, he will be back very soon. This guy is the truth, man. Even with just that intro, I hope you guys got a glimpse of what this man is capable of and what he's actually been doing for the past, like, I don't even know how long, but to go from managing 30,000 to 100,000 to 250, like this you got to start somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I tell people, always always seek mentorship, because there's somebody out there that knows more than you, that you can follow. Jim Rohn once said, success leaves clues. Success leaves clues. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to be the first person to do anything. You just got to do it. You just got to follow the footsteps of somebody who's already done it. That's it. So we're going to keep this moving. We're going to keep this moving. Side Capital, as he joins us back in, drop your questions in the question box. Thank you. Tweet Talk Podcast. Thank you.
All
Managing the chat. There he is.
It's official now. We got the polo on. We back in the office.
My man did a whole Superman phone booth move on us.
Yeah. So, yeah, we were talking about inflation. I don't know why my phone is. All right, cool.
Let's get it.
So, yeah, Charles Oglesby, they know me as Todd Millionaire. We were talking about inflation. The question was, how do you beat inflation? And there's a lot of ways, but first we have to kind of understand what inflation is and what historically inflation has been. So inflation really is a rise in the price of goods and services. And typically in like a normal market, when you haven't had all this stimulus flying in there, so much quantitative easing, or not quantitative easing, but I would say it's quantitative easing. So basically you have the Fed pumping money into the economy. And unfortunately, what happens is then the dollar becomes devalued because there's so much currency in the market. And so what we see is we start seeing the prices of things inch up. Like I said, typically inflation is about 3%, 3.5%. The problem is now it's like twice that. So inflation's at record levels. And I know you guys have seen it. Everybody keeps saying like, man, I went outside, it cost me like $100 to just, the entry fee to go outside is $100. I was at my barber, they doubled the prices. Not the particular barber that I just left, but the barber in LA. I was paying like $50 a haircut, and now they want like $80 a haircut. Bruh. So, I mean, you guys have seen it. And so the question is, how do you beat that? And I think there's a few ways. You do it both offensively and defensively. So I think that the way that you beat it in a certain way is don't play that game. I'm not paying $100 for a haircut. I refuse. I'm not going to participate in you gouging me. We went through a situation where they threw all this money at folks. Right. And so ideally you want to hold on to that money, because a lot of people think a stimulus is a stimulus for them, when in actuality it's a stimulus for the economy. And so you're stimulating other people's economy, when you should be retaining that cash so that you can keep it within your own economy. And so that's one way. I'm not paying $100 for a haircut. I refuse. I'll learn how to cut hair myself before I go and throw all the cash that I generated by staying at home, by not being able to go out and go to these clubs, by not being able to go out and buy bottles, by not being able to go out and go to sporting events, not being able to go to concerts. That's your nest egg. That's the windfall that you're waiting for. Your responsibility is to turn that into income. I want to turn that into income. And so the second way that you beat inflation is you got to put that money to work. So like I said, inflation is typically 3%. Let's arguably say it's 8% right now. What you want to do is you want to put that into a portfolio of different things, different stocks, different assets. You can put it into real estate. You can put it into individual stocks. You can trade options. You can buy vending machines. You need to put it into something that's going to retain your value and also increase in value. But the goal has to be to beat that number. So the goal has to be in a normal market to beat 3%, or in this current market to beat about 8%. Historically, the stock market, if you were just to buy a strict index fund, you're going to generate between 11 and 12%. I don't know who this person is. I don't like seeing stuff like that though. I can't. So, yeah, NG host, use whatever your name is. So anyway, what I was saying is that you got to put your money to work for you. So that windfall, that cash, and the new cash that you're bringing in. So I always tell people it's not enough just to set it and forget it. You need to become an active investor. So you need to be actively going out there getting new cash to put into the market. What does that look like? That might look like working overtime. That might look like creating a product. That might look like creating a service. That might look like working a weekend job. That might look like working DoorDash and Uber. But you got to go out there and get extra cash so that you can put it to work for you with the goal of beating inflation. So you have to structure your portfolio. I tell people that I don't want you putting any more than 10% into speculative investments. What is a speculative investment? A speculative investment is something like a small cap stock. Options are speculative. Forex is speculative. Crypto is speculative.
Okay.
These are stocks that are more risky than the average stock.
Right.
So you have your small cap stocks, you have your mid cap stocks, which are your companies that aren't quite blue chip companies, but are still solid companies. So maybe a Netflix might be a mid cap stock. A Chipotle might be a mid cap stock. What else? Those companies that you know are still out there, still growing. So they're still opening up new locations. They're still investing into what they're doing. They're not yet paying a dividend. And then you also have your large cap stocks. And so those are your Apples, these Dow Jones companies. So your Apples, your Johnson & Johnson, your Procter & Gamble, things like that. So depending on your age, the way you want to structure your portfolio is that you aren't necessarily taking a bunch of risk, but you are exposed to some risk. So again, 10% in speculative investments.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going to put a significant chunk in maybe mid-cap stocks. And then we're going to put a certain chunk into large cap stocks. And then maybe you'll put like another 10% into something that's stable, like bonds. And so you can still go out there and you can still find bonds that are paying maybe 7 to 8%. Most bonds are going to be paying a little bit less, 3 to 4%, because bonds are a safer investment. They're going to preserve your capital, but you want to be diversified across asset classes. Keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is just my opinion on how I would do things and structure my portfolio, or somebody that I know and love, like in my family. And so the way that you beat it is by investing. And that's just the stock market. Now you look at real estate market. Let's say you buy a rental property. An example was we bought some properties in Detroit about 3 years ago. And you can still find some deals in Detroit. We bought some deals in Detroit. We paid $11,000 for one house, $17,000 for another house, $20,000 for another house. We have a portfolio of about 10 doors, 5 of which are in rented condition, and the other 5 doors are still in like shell state. But even the shell condition assets are doing well. So we're getting the cash flow from the rental properties. The cash flow is also allowing us to maintain the asset, pay for the taxes, put a roof on there, handle HVAC issues, those kind of things, tenant turnover. And then also we got a ton of appreciation over the last 3 years. And so you have to play the long game also.
Right.
Because you don't want to go out there and try to get your 8 to 10% tomorrow. We want to position you in assets that are going to allow you to get that 8 to 10% on the year at a bare minimum. So real estate is a way, the stock market is a way, but you just have to know your numbers. And the most important thing is knowing the rate of inflation. Like I said, it's usually 3.5%. It's a lot higher now. So now you have to go and you have to find assets that are going to beat that. Maybe not individual stocks, you got ETFs, you have all these different things, but we just got to put the money into work. It's really no savings accounts. The savings accounts is actually negative return, because the savings account, those are paying about 0.5%, if that, 0.5%. So now your money's losing value the longer it sits in your savings account, and you don't want that either.
Man, that whole one question was like so valuable. But how does someone find out what the inflation rate is? Like, how do we know what that is? What do we do?
I just Googled it, and actually the 3 is kind of ambitious. So let me see this. So generally, inflation is around 1 to 1.5%. They're saying that as of July, the inflation rate in the United States was 5.4%. So around 1% on average is inflation rate, but currently it's 5.4. So it's 5 times what it normally would be. It's just straight Google. That's what I looked up. I'm on a website called Statista.com. And it just presented a whole like little spreadsheet. There's also a website called US Inflation Calculator. It gives us the same number, 5.4% in 2021.
Right. Okay. So what we got to realize right now is that this conversation is long overdue, right? I feel like Black people, African American community, whatever you want to call it, we've been, for whatever reason, kind of not involved in these topics and in the stock market in general. So can you just briefly touch on why is it important for us to have these conversations and just be open and about our questions that we have?
Yeah. It's important because a lot of the people that control the things that we want access to are playing these games and they're having these conversations. And so if we're talking about like equality and equity, you got to also kind of do the things that they're doing. And so they're having these conversations, like I said. I think it's important to know that the stock market is attainable. You don't have to have big money to get into stocks, but you should be in stocks. One of the things that I tell people is that I would rather you start with what you have so that you can learn the skills and the fundamentals so that when you do have large money, you can do even better. So when I started, I was just trading penny stocks. I had a paycheck. I took like $100 out, $100 there, here and there. I bought a few penny stocks. I watched them day to day. They did all right. I didn't really make too much money in penny stocks. But then when I jumped back in the market another 6 months later, I'm wiser for it. I'm not looking at the penny stocks anymore, and I know why. Now I'm focused on a different game. And so my whole strategy looked way different. I ended up buying Tesla. I bought Tesla. I don't even know why I bought Tesla. I might have just saw it going up or something. And I swung it through earnings. I made enough money to get back into law school. So actually I had left law school for a year. And so through the stock market, I was able to get back into law school. I made about $5,000. And I was like hooked at that point. I saw that the stock market is real. And anybody who saw what happened last year, they saw that people were making life-changing money in the stock market. People were making pay off your student loans money in the stock market.
Yeah.
People were making quit your job money in the stock market. Last year alone, I think I made about $700,000 in stocks. And it blew my mind. I was like, this is crazy. That's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money. But, and so like, it became even realer to me because, I mean, that's some life-changing stuff right there. That'll set you up for a while. And we don't have to work for money. In fact, we shouldn't be working for money. Working for money is the worst kind of money. I've had days that I've woken up and the stock market has done more for me almost every day. The stock market does more for me than I could have ever worked. You're not making $700,000 a year at any job. And it's all from a skill set that I refined from a young age. So that's why I say it's important to have these conversations to get exposed to what's out there so you're not naive, so you don't work until you're 60 and then say, you know what, I'm going to try the stock market thing out. Like, no, by 60, you should have 40, 50 years in this thing.
Come on.
Not 40, 50, but you should have like 30 to 40 years experience. So now you're making intelligent decisions. Now you've seen the patterns of the stock market. The reason why I was able to make a lot of money in the stock market this year is because I lived through 2008 through 2009. I was a financial advisor. And you know what I saw? I saw the stock market fall off a cliff, and I saw it come right back. So you know what I did? In March, when the stock market fell off a cliff, I went all in. I bought cruise lines that they said were never coming back. I bought airlines that they said were never coming back. I bought hotels that said were never coming back. I bought a mall that they said was never coming back. And they all went from half of their value to their full value. And I tell people, if you own something that costs $100 and it goes to $50 and you buy it at $50 and then it goes back to $100, you don't make 50%. You make 100%. And so you should be looking to buy the discount, not looking to buy the top. And a lot of people, when they're investing in stocks, they're looking for the top. They're looking at what's hot and they're hoping it's going to stay hotter. Sometimes that works. There are companies that are like Amazons of this world, the Zooms of this world, sometimes the Teslas of this world, that they're just hot stocks. They're going to keep running. NVIDIA is another one that's like that. But most stocks aren't like that. Most stocks go up and then down and up and then down and up and then down. And so what I had to learn, I had to recondition my mind. I had to realize, like, okay, I'm not buying at its top, because at its top, what's next? Down. I'm buying when it goes down, because what's next? Up. And you got to catch that up. We all know it's buy low, sell high, but everybody still buys high and hopes it goes higher. Nobody wants to buy the low because the low is ugly. The low is bad press. The low is that Peloton crushed a kid. They're like, oh, shoot, I can't buy Peloton now. I can't buy Peloton stock now. For me, I'm like, damn, it's a perfect time to buy Peloton because that stock just went down 20%. And when it goes back up, I'm going to get a really, really nice return. And it's not going to be 20%. It's going to be more than 20%. It might be 25, 30%.
See, now we got to dive a little deeper because you said a lot. And I think one of the main things that a lot of people have when it comes to investing in the stock market, they think of it more of a risk. They think that they're gambling. They don't actually see it as something that is, really worth the risk. So can you just talk about how we make that mindset shift from this isn't going to work to at least let me try it, let me do some dollar cost averaging and see what happens over a period of time? Can you talk about that?
I would say that in regard to risk, your goal in life shouldn't be to avoid risk. Your goal in life is to manage risk, to mitigate risk, to find a way to succeed despite the risk. Because everything comes with risk. You know what comes with risk? Working a job comes with risk.
Say that.
Putting your whole financial fate in the hands of somebody else is a lot of risk. It was a risk I wasn't willing to take. When my son came, I knew it was job or bust. I made a request. They didn't fulfill that request. The request still had to get refilled. My son still has to eat, so therefore we got to grind. And so I think what helps is seeing people who have done it successfully, and that's what's so great about social media. Is if you've been told that the stock market is risky by your grandma who lived through the depression or something when they saw a stock market crash, or even your parents who maybe don't invest in stocks, maybe they only invest in stocks through their 401k, and they're not really counting on that because they're not seeing too much from there, then that's going to shape your reality. But you got to get around people who are doing it and doing it well. And that's why we've created the communities that we have created, where you have people who are sharing what's working for them. They're giving you tips. They're giving you tricks. They're telling you what they're looking for. They're telling you why they're looking at it. Actually, normally what I'm doing at 4 o'clock is I'm doing what I call an options inner circle call. And so me and all the people in multiple of my groups and my multiple groups, we get on there. We just look at charts. We call it a stock. We look at charts. We look at the articles. We look at the results. We paper trade. We real life trade. And it's a process. Like, it's a process. I'm not done. I've done what I've done, but I'm like, what's next? What can we do next? I'm still actively out here refining my process, learning, studying, growing, watching YouTube videos, reading books, asking questions, practicing everything, because it's a never-ending process of growth. And so my answer to your question about risk is we as a culture have to get comfortable with risk, because there's a lot of risk that we just be living with. Eating not so good food is a risk. Drinking is a risk. Smoking is a risk. There's a lot of things we do that are risky, kind of like the crate challenge. I know you've seen the memes. It's like, okay, you're saying investing in stocks is risky, investing in options is risky. You over here standing on some top of crates. People, unfortunately, the state of our community, we take risks for dumb shit, but we don't take risks for wealth. We'll take risks for likes. We'll take risks for laughs. We'll take risks for a guaranteed $50 before we take a risk for an uncertain million. But that's the game. That's the game. There's millions out there in the stock market, and we showed you. The great thing about options, and the reason why my options course took off, is because it allows people with small money to get big money. So you can start trading options with $100. Everybody has $100. And then what you can do is you can turn that $100 into $1,000, because options are that powerful. But if you're just trading the flat stock market, you can put $100 in there and then you might get 110. And so a lot of people, they're dismayed from the stock market because they're like, well, I don't have big money. 12% ain't doing nothing for me. You put $100 up, you get $12. You put $1,000 up, you get $120. The power of options is that same 12% could actually yield you 100%. And so now you're taking that 1,000, you turn it into 2,000. Now we're talking. If I make $1,000 in the stock market, I'm a believer now. But if I make $12, I can do a lot of other things to make $12, especially not wait a year. And so that was my struggle. I
Mm.
became a believer when I was able to stack a good amount of money and then swing trade. And then from there, I realized that, okay, swing trading is great, but options are better. I can trade options. Yeah, they're risky. Or again, we mitigate the risk. How do we mitigate the risk? We add time to our contract. We understand our Greeks. We're not buying when there's high implied volatility. We are buying stocks that we know and understand, something we've watched for about 30 days, not just something we just hopped in the day of.
Mm.
And so we do all these different things. We read the articles, we do the research. Jim Cramer said it's buying homework. I'm not a fan of the call outs. A lot of times they have these group chats where they're just telling you to buy something and you buy it.
Right.
If you win, you win. If you don't win, you don't win. But you're not better for it because you didn't do the work in the process. So you got to do the work. You got to fall in love with the work of being an investor because that's where you want to be. We want to be on the B and I side of the quadrant, not the E and the S.
Mm. Come on, rich dad, poor dad. Come on with it. Hey, so you really dropping this game, man, and I hope people are really catching these gems right now because what you're talking about is powerful. It's life changing, like you said. So I want to take some time to just see what we're talking about in the chat real quick. Um,
For some reason,
somebody
I can't see
says,
the chat,
yeah,
but it's all good.
I'm going through the chat. We had to kick out some trolls, but you know how that goes. Somebody says, are there any books that you suggest?
Wow. One of my favorite books man, so I think that you got to read anything by Warren Buffett. There is a book called The Snowball. There's a book by Benjamin Graham called, what is that book called? I don't even know what the book is called anymore. The Intelligent Investor, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
The Intelligent Investor is like the Bible for value investing. I'm really big on value investing. I think anything by Jim Cramer is good. Jim Cramer, he invests in the fundamentals, and so he's going to teach you how to do fundamental analysis, looking at P ratios, looking at the financials of the business, debt to income ratios, all those different things that matter in terms of the actual financial viability and financial health of the company. And what else? Of course, you got to read Rich Dad Poor Dad, a cash flow quadrant. There's a book called The Little Book on Value Investing. There's actually a lot of books called The Little Book on Something Investing. Those are good. There's another book called Options Made Easy, which is a great book. And then my last one that I always recommend is The Beginner's Guide to Day Trading. I think that book is awesome because they walk you through pretty much everything. They walk you through candlesticks, they walk you through chart patterns, they walk you through technical analysis, fundamental analysis. They teach you everything, moving averages, things like that.
That's dope. That's dope. And Kramer, that's the dude. That's the white dude that does the analyst that be like spazzing out and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let's see what else we got in the chat. And like I said, guys, go ahead. Drop the questions in the question box. I'm just seeing what we talked about. This Ice Cold Square. He said, as an older brother, just getting to the stock market, I'm inspired by these young brothers. Keep going. Much love, brother. Much love, man. That's what we're here for. So yeah, let's just keep it going. We will jump to the questions at the end, so make sure you go ahead and ask the questions in the question box. All right. So you touched on this briefly, but I want to make sure people really grasp what you're talking about, right? We don't know a lot of people that our money isn't earning anything. Like we might understand that 1 to 2% in the savings account, but we don't really understand fully how we're losing, how bad we're losing when we put all our money into the savings account versus actually investing it and having it work for us. Can you just briefly just go ahead and wrap that topic up and make sure people really grasp how important it is to actually have your money work for you?
One of the sad parts, not sad parts, but one of the worst parts about not investing and building wealth is not only are you staying the same, you're also slipping behind because everybody else is investing. So this is a game that's going to go on whether you participate or not. The game doesn't stop because you don't participate. you just slip further and further behind. Things become more and more expensive. And so that's the problem is you look at the price of a house in the 60s and you look at the price of the house now, and a lot of people can't afford it, but they're not doing things outside of their job to try to afford it. Wealth building, investing, real estate investing, doing all these different things in terms of, and also building a business allow you to participate at the highest levels. What I found is it's a whole other world out there that is not for just strict employees. There's a world out there that caters to owners. There's a reason why it's called business class, because you can't be there unless you got a business. There's a reason why when you go to these suites, they are called corporate suites, because the folks who can go to these suites have corporations. We got to play the game of America. The game of America is business and investing. It has always been that way. People talk about the tax code. Robert Kiyosaki would tell you that the tax code is written for business and investors. Employees are at the bottom of the food chain. So it's really participate or else. Participate or else. And I don't want to be the person that's looking for somebody else to make it happen for me. And when you do fail to either start a business, invest, get involved in the stock market, you're effectively saying that I'll get what I want if the government gives it to me. Quite honestly, I wasn't interested in a stimulus. I wasn't interested in anything the government has to give me because I know a few things. I can never really get ahead if I'm always getting what everybody else is getting. I have to get more. So if the world, and this is one of the sad things, if you waited on a stimulus and then you got your stimulus and then the world adjusted, you took like 2 steps forward and 1 step back, or 1 step forward and 2 step back is what they say. You got to do more. You got to be involved in more. And that's not a bad thing. That's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to be better, to leave your kids something, because assets never die. The corporation never dies. You pass those things on. So if you're playing the right game, you live forever. What happens when you're wealthy and you have a stock portfolio? What happens when you're wealthy and you have a stock portfolio, but you just lived off of the dividends forever? I'm not giving my son stock so he can liquidate them and live off of the money. I'm giving him a source of income from the dividends that the assets produce, a source of income from the homes that the assets produce. That's what you want to do. You don't want to just hand over cash. And unfortunately, if you were to just hand over cash, let's say you saved up 100 grand and then you died in 20 years. What's 100 grand in 20 years? It's probably not going to be worth near as much as what it's worth now. It might have the same buying power of $10,000. But if you take that same $100,000 and you put it into some stocks, or you put it into some property in 20 years, that 100,000 is probably worth 900,000. And it's kept pace. So the way you keep pace with inflation is you become a business owner or investor. What happens when inflation happens to bosses? They raise their prices. They don't ever lose. They just adjust. What happens to landlords when inflation happens? They raise the rents. And their property becomes more valuable because they raise the rents. Their business becomes more valuable because they can sell their prices for more because now their revenue is higher. And so if you play in that sphere, you can't lose in terms of in terms of inflation.
That's dope, man. I hope you guys, like I said, are soaking this game in, because just because it's free doesn't mean it's not valuable. So please pay attention. Please get these gems. I want to keep diving in, and while I still have you, because I just love getting information myself. You said so many powerful things, and to me, a lot of it just reminds me of entrepreneurship in terms of the mindset, the ownership, the desire for more, right? There's a lot of overlapping attributes of a successful investor and a successful entrepreneur.
Right.
I know that you have had some success in entrepreneurship, whether that be vending machines or e-commerce. Can you also talk about how people are able to build wealth through entrepreneurship, and specifically through some of the activities that you have taken in the past?
One thing I don't want us to take lightly is I get on here and I talk about investing, but business is the foundation of it all. And most of the wealthy people that you know, that have large real estate portfolios, that have large stock portfolios, they have large businesses. And so the business generates the money that you can invest. And so I think the problem that a lot of people also have with investing is they're investing money that they get from employment. And so that's going to keep you small as well. You have to break free. You have to find a product to sell, not even a service. Products. I like products more than I like services, unless it's a service that I don't actually do. If it's a service that I hire out to independent contractors that I can then do at scale, that works. But I want to do something that has infinite scale. Why? Because infinite scale means infinite money. Infinite money means you don't got to hit a home run every time. You can still make great money. If you have $2 million in an account and you make 10%, you make $200,000 that year. 10% is very conservative, and $200,000 is a lot of money. You can do anything you want to do with $200,000 a year. There's nothing you can't do. Thanks. You can drive a Rolls Royce. You can live in a mansion. You don't got to work. You can do whatever you want to do. But you don't get that money working hard. You don't get that money from your hours. It's impossible. I've done the math. I've looked at the math. If you take 80 years of your life and then you break those 80 years into weeks, you break those weeks into days, you break those days into hours, and you break those hours into the average workday, and then you then multiply that 8 hours times all the way up the chain, it's like 40,000 hours, I think. It's not many hours. 40,000 hours, and then if you multiply that times whatever the average rate is, let's say $25 an hour, I think at most you can make $1.25 million annually for the rest of your life after you worked for like 25 years. That's gross. That's not even taking into consideration that usually half of your money goes for your housing. So 1.25, we're going to take 600 grand. That's going to be your housing, depending on where you live. If you live in California, it's definitely half what you live. Then you also got transportation. Transportation is going to be maybe another 20%. That's your car insurance, your gas, your maintenance, that kind of stuff. Then you have food. Food's going to be another significant amount of your budget. You got clothing, you got entertainment. Most people would retire broke because they don't have something that works when they're not working. I just was talking to you right now. It's got a sale. I said $50. Y'all didn't see me do no work. I did not lift a finger.
Yes,
but you know what I did? I created a system. I created a product. I put it in a platform that runs without me. I have people that do things whether I'm working or not. And I make more money now than I've ever made, and I don't work nearly as hard. I'm not commuting. I used to commute 2 hours to work. 2 hours there, 2 hours back. I used to work a full like 10 to 12 hour shift because when you work in LA, you can't leave it at 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock. You got to wait till the traffic dies down. So I would literally get to the office at 8 and then leave at like 7. So that's an 11-hour day. 11-hour day plus 4 hours of commute, 2 hours there, 2 hours back, maybe an hour back because I get a smoother ride back. Like that adds up, man. The only way that you can get there is by having a product at scale. If you look at the most wealthy people on the top of the Forex list, they all have products. Jeff Bezos doesn't just have products. He has all the products. And that's one thing I have. The hack is like, you can't even just sell something. You got to sell everything.
Yeah.
Amazon sells everything. He makes money because he sells everything. Walmart is another family on the top of the Forbes list. They sell everything. Tesla, he sells cars, one of the most popular cars. Who else? You get there by selling stuff, y'all. And I didn't realize that until years ago, or maybe like a little while ago. I realized that the money is in selling. The money is create a product, market that product, run it up.
Right.
And that's just going to allow you to circle back and invest and live comfortably. I never made more money than I ever made last year, and I still do really well, but I don't do things that I used to do anymore. I don't trade time for money anymore. I don't do the stuff that kept me small. You have to create a business. The business is where you're going to make your massive money. Do you turn your massive income into passive income? Then you turn your massive income and you park it into real estate. That real estate cash flows, that real estate grows. A lot of people who have the money there is because they don't really need the money. So you can't even really invest money that you need if you want to be a good investor. Like the goal is to have money that you don't need and or make money that you don't need, which is another hack. A lot of us only make money to the extent that we need money. But you need to go out there and you also need to make money on top of the money that you need so that then you have money to put to work for you. That's why we have the 3-job principle. So you have a job that takes care of your living expenses. You have a job that maybe takes care of your life. And you have another job that takes care of your wealth or the life you want to build. That's a bar. Have a job that takes care of your life, one that takes care of your lifestyle, one that takes care of the life you want to build. So, and building a business is mandatory. Like the 100%.
100%. And I think that I agree. Let me just say that I agree. And you know, you had touched on it the last interview that we did, but basically the fact that selling and marketing are the two, like, those are the most important skills that you can have in entrepreneurship, right? There's a book that I'm reading. I can show you guys if you want to check it out. It's called The Entrepreneurship Roller Coaster, by Darren Hardy. But he talks about selling and marketing, and basically it's not the having the best product or services. Those companies don't make the most money. It's the companies that can actually advertise and promote themselves the best that end up succeeding. And so if you can learn the vital skills to really take your business to the next level, if you can learn those skills that can take your business to the next level, you can really get ahead of your competition and you're able to do a lot more. So I'm totally with you on the entrepreneurship tip.
And you also got to get afraid of the fear of putting yourself out there.
Mm,
A lot of folks are afraid to bring themselves to market because you have to be vulnerable. You have to be open to criticism. You have to be open to commentary. You have to be really effectively showing that you need somebody's money. And a lot of folks are like, I don't want you to think I need your money. I got it all together while they struggle in brokenness. And so it's like you got to be willing to let folks know, like, I need your money. I do, because money comes through people. Money comes through people is one thing that I've realized. That was a notification thing.
okay.
So money comes through people. One thing I was going to say is we're actually reading another Darren Hardy book. We're reading The Compound Effect. So that was cool.
That's a great book too. That is a great book. And somebody, I think somebody asked, the book is called Entrepreneurship Roller Coaster. Um, I like audiobooks personally, so I listened to it with the audiobook, and then I ordered the book and I reread the book, taking notes, because another concept in this book that I'm, internalizing is the fact that you can read 32 different books and not understand one of them, right? You can go to 25 different seminars and not really get any value, versus you actually just understanding one book and learning it and reading it and actually finding one mentor that's going to teach you those principles and internalizing those principles. So that's something in the book that I personally found valuable. But I do want to keep this conversation going. We got a lot of people overseas in here in the chat going on.
Yeah, I see
Um,
that. It's very interesting.
let's see what's going on with these questions, though. We're going to go ahead and dive into these questions. If you guys got questions, make sure you drop them into the chat. So we're going to go with the original KJ. Ooh, they said, if you had 100,000 to invest in stocks, what would you invest in?
Oh man, that's tough. But I think not financial advice. I think it depends on your goals because quite honestly, like I said, a lot of people want to invest and they want to set it and forget it. So I think that maybe you do something like this because you're going to want to access leverage. I think that you cut it in half and you put 50 into something stable. And then maybe you take 25 and 25 and you start to kind of maybe take some risk with the first 25 and the other 25 maybe even leverage into something that does pretty well. So I would say the 50 stability, the 25 I might put it into something that's growing really strongly. So in this space, maybe a stock like Nvidia, maybe a stock like Tesla, maybe a stock like maybe Apple,
Mm.
these strong companies that you know have a great product, because having a great product matters. A lot of people just look at the numbers in the chart and they're not looking at the quality of the product that they're putting out there. Tesla has a very high quality product. I love that car. That thing is
Mm.
amazing.
Amen.
And so I'm going to put money in quality products. Apple has quality products. It's a great company that literally doubled their value since Bezos died. Nobody expected that. Amazon. And so I'm going to do that. 50 straight quality, maybe even dividend paying stocks. 25 diversify into some strong mid cap stuff. And that other 25, I'm taking some risk. I'm going to try to turn that 25 into maybe 100.
Mm.
And so that's what I would do. I would start taking some risk, but you need to become educated. Don't just be throwing 25 at stuff, because then you're just flushing it down the toilet. So I would say if you're going to play with that 25, even still, we're going to break that into increments. So I would say the 25, I might even break it into $1,000 increments and just trade that thousand. I'm a big proponent of
Mm.
small accounts.
Mm.
If you're going to trade options, start small. Don't look to go out there and just hit one home run. I put 25 grand in there and I turned it into whatever, because you can also take that 25 grand and turn it into nothing. You should be happy that you have 25 chances to get out there and get it in. I also would recommend that you do some paper trading before you even start getting that work. I mean, the obvious stuff is 50, 25, and then split the 25 up. Also seek a financial advisor. These people, they invest for a living, and they've seen accounts that aren't just your accounts. They've seen accounts that are probably 10 times the size. They know what the wealthier you're doing, which I
Mm.
think is important. And I tell people, like, never, I guess, dismiss the value of a financial advisor, because they see 100 accounts a day and you only see yours. So who do you think is more versed in what's working and what's not working? The person that has 100 chances at this, or the person that has no idea what anybody else is doing but themselves?
Yo, and that just reminds me of another quote from the book. But it's basically was like his dad was like a super, coach and all this. He's like, you can never pay too much for education. You can never pay too much to rent out the knowledge that someone else, or the experience that someone else has attained, right? So that's an invaluable investment in itself.
Yep.
So I think that was a great answer. Education definitely is essential, right? Don't want to
Yeah.
invest in
So
things that you don't know.
you might want to invest in a course. One of the first things you might want to do is you might want to pay a little bit of money taking some courses out there, so you know what you're looking at and you're not just guessing. Because for me, I'm saying these things from somebody who has about maybe like 15 years experience. That's crazy. It's like 13 years experience. I'm old, man. I've been doing this thing for like 13 years. So for me, what I can just kind of throw out there is a little bit different than somebody who's never even seen the stock market, never been involved in it. Now they got 100 grand. I've
Mm.
seen folks blow through bread, man. I've seen people who inherited 200 grand. They bought a car. They just blew through the bread. And I was like, that's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, that was a good question, though. I like that question.
That was a great question. Dang, you blow to 200K, man. They should have bought the course too. All right, so we got a few more questions that rolled in. Let me know how we looking on time. If you gotta bounce to another.
I'm pretty much good until 5:30. My term is 5:30, but I think your term is like 8:30.
Got you. All right, we're gonna make the most out of this time. Everybody that's been tuning in on live, taking notes, thank you. Even if you're in another country, thank you for tuning in. Let's just jump into the next question. So someone says, if you're starting with small money, do you advise getting into index funds?
Like, it all comes down to your goals. Really, it comes down to your goals. I don't really think that what you're starting with should be what determines your goals. It's like sometimes we let our present determine our vision, or we let our circumstances determine what we can or can't do.
Right.
So in my opinion, I love index funds. I used to be really, really big on index funds. Now my portfolio is a little bit more diversified. I used to hold SPG, but I bought SPG on the dip and it came back to my exit point, so I exited that trade.
Mm.
But if I were to go back and I were to start from scratch, like if I were to delete everything that I have in my account and just build a whole new account, I would probably buy some index funds. S&P is a good one. The QQQ, which tracks the the NASDAQ. I would get into that because that's mostly your tech stocks. And then you just got to have faith and patience. I think that one of the things that people are expecting is when you get into the stock market, you're expecting money tomorrow. You're expecting money next week instead of money in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. There have been some great stocks that I bought and sold, and I thought it was a genius. And then you look at them 3 years later, I'm like, damn, I should have held on to that. I had Amazon at $1,000. I should have held on to that. I had Apple at this price. I should have held on to that. And so you look at this stuff,
Amazon.
and you're like, man, there's so much more value in being patient and just knowing that the stock market is going to do what it needs to do. Despite those dips, despite the crisis, despite the negative press, despite the pandemics, the stock market does what it's supposed to do. When I used to work for Edward Jones, we had this chart, and it tracked the Dow Jones. And we were trying to put people in this Dow Jones fund. And the chart looks like, I think I have a pen in my pocket. It looked like this. So you have your y-axis, your x-axis, y-axis. And so you have like, you're going up, and you have the Great Depression. And you have a correction. You're going up, and you got like World War II or something. And you're going up, and then it's like the tech bubble crash. Going up, you got Y2K, and it's going up, and you got this. But you look, and it's like the trend is continuing to go up.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I always tell people,
Right.
like, focus on the trend.
Yeah.
We're focused on the trend. Is
Right.
it heading in an upward trajectory, or is it heading in a downward trajectory? Because stocks can do that as well. If it's a company that's dying, it's just dying over long term. And why is this important? It's important so you don't freak out at these points, because you know it's going to come back. And so I lived through this.
Right.
I lived through this rather. So when I saw this, I knew this was going to turn into this. And so I would just say that I think that if you are starting small, your goal should be to grow up big. And you can do that a few different ways. You can do that trading options. You can get well versed at trading options, or you can get to work. I worked 3 jobs. I was hustling all the way up until I had my son. I was working my face off.
Come on.
3 jobs, week job, weekend job, Uber job. I was grinding.
Yo, and I think that's something else that that's a whole nother conversation. But I feel like sometimes people just don't want to work hard. You know,
Yeah.
we want that quick, fast. Like I think of it like the Migos, right? I feel like a lot of people. I'm from Georgia, so I seen the Migos from when they was just starting out, right? A lot of people don't realize they have plenty of music before they really made it famous, right? But people a lot of times consider them as overnight success. But you can't, there's really no such thing as overnight success, right? Everybody that's great, they put in that work. They put in the hours on the court, on the field, whatever their talent is, they made it happen.
100%.
All right, let me just the next question. Someone says, Unpredictable 876 says, what do you think about Forex?
I'm not big on Forex. The reason why is it's not an investment. It's more something that you trade. And so my background is in investing, and I understand the world through the lens of an investor, not necessarily a trader. And so that's why I had this thought today. I was like, man, the same way you buy any asset is how you buy every asset. The same way you buy a business is how you buy a piece of real estate. The same way you buy a piece of real estate is how you buy stock. And so for me, I can't really do the whole, I can't do the Forex stuff. I apologize. Everything's not for everybody though. That doesn't mean that Forex is bad. There's people making great money in Forex. There's people who love Forex. Forex teaches you great skills in terms of technical analysis that can then, what was I going to say? Be applied to the stock market. So that same skill that you learn, chart patterns, candlesticks, volume, supply and demand, all that stuff can be applied to, as people were sending me messages, so I was looking at those, can be applied to stock market trading, which will then make you better at stock market trading. A lot of people who do well and options came from Bitcoin, came from crypto. So for me, I don't really get into that stuff. I don't really get into crypto like that.
Interesting. Not really into the crypto. Okay. So we got another question. This one's more so entrepreneurship. Hoodies Dude says, how can I attract more clients to work with me? I'm a manufacturer of apparel. So it's a marketing question right here.
In my opinion, you got to add value to the marketplace. You have to do a combination of both. There's a book called Jab, 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 Right Hook. So you need to be giving, but also asking. You need to be giving value, but you also need to be letting people know, like, this is what I got to sell. So people tend to not understand the value of content, where you can post a lot of different things, man. You can post a video of somebody having success in what you're teaching. You can post a fashion show, somebody having your merch. You can post behind the scenes of you doing the work to build your brand. You can post all these different things that are going to attract people to you. So you got to kind of build a community first. Don't just try to sell folks. You got to bring people to you, people that find value in what you're saying and what you're doing, and then you can start to ask. So he says jab, 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 right hook, but the right hook's not an actual sell. It's an ask. It's like, hey, I provided you with so much value. I taught you how to tie a tie. I taught you what the newest fashions are. I taught you how you should pair this with this outfit. I taught you whatever that's relevant to your business. Oh yeah, I got this shirt that I'm dropping soon. Let me know if you like it. You got to add a lot of value. A lot of value. That is what we've done. Eric Thomas says you need to discover your gift, refine your gift, and give your gift away. Do some shirt giveaways. Do some clothing giveaways. Honestly, you might just want to saturate the market with your stuff anyway. Sell it at cost or sell it at a discount. I've done that before. I'm not telling you something that I've never done. I have a bag company. I did a $10 sale. You know how much those bags cost me? Probably about $12. I literally was selling them for less than what they cost. But now everybody's running around with Views bags. Everywhere I go, people have Views bags, which now builds the brand clout. Now I get a new shipment. I can sell those out. It's a process. Building a business, like investing, is a process.
There you go. Wise advice. And the book, Jab, Jab, Right Hook, is a Gary Vaynerchuk, marketing genius, by the way. He's also famous for the $1.80 strategy, which is very helpful if you're trying to build more engagement with your audience. Definitely want to check that out. We want to go to the next question while we're up here. And I didn't get a chance to ask you about this, but this is a perfect time. I saw you had dropped the Turo course. Someone says, will the Turo course be updated to the Freedom Package?
Oh, no, it's not. It's not. And the reason being is that there's already so much value in that, I mean, come on, y'all. People probably got that Freedom Pack for the low. So unless you paid the full value for the Freedom Pack, no. I love y'all, and you can still get it for an affordable price. I think we had it on pre-sale for like $50, and it's going to be a ton of value. A ton of lessons that I learned both running my own Turo and also being a customer of Turo. So I've learned a lot just by seeing other people's systems and kind of peeling that veil back. So unfortunately, no. But it's still, the value's there. I promise you it is. I wouldn't sell it if it didn't have the value that far surpassed what you pay in the actual money.
Give us the quick game. I'm trying to get in it. What are some tips that you tell me?
I would say pictures matter, but I think what really matters the most is location. When I first started out, I thought that like any location mattered, and I put it at my house, and I put it at Ontario Airport, and then I also put it at my office in downtown LA. And I wasn't getting any hits. I wasn't getting any hits. Oh, this is crazy. First and foremost, I only had 3 pictures. I only had a picture of like the left side, the right side, and like the back. And so then I had to take way more pictures. So I had to get inside, take pictures of the actual steering area so you can see that it's a luxurious car, it's a nice car. Take a picture of the back seat so you can see how much back seat space is in there. Take a picture of the trunk so you can see there's trunk space in there. Take a bunch of pictures. So you're taking as many pictures as possible. That's one thing. The other is, again, location. And so what I did is I put it so that my tour was at LAX, which is one of the busiest airports in America. And once I did that, everything took off. So what you might want to do is tweak and try different locations. Now, the key is you can actually charge to deliver to that location. So you have your daily rate, and then you can charge $50, $75, $100. I've seen people charge up to $120 for delivery. So you can do that too. The other tip is you want to be very, very clear in your messages to your riders. You want to spell everything out, kind of like they're a kid. Like everything has to be filled out, even to the point where if you need to put 91 gas in your car because it's a Lexus or a Mercedes or a BMW, you better tell them. Because if you don't, they're just going to be so wrapped up in what they normally do, they're going to put 87 in your car and it can ruin the car. So be very, very clear in the instructions. So that's what I would say. Clear in the instructions, invest in the appearance of your vehicle. So, I mean, pour money back into getting your car detailed. Make sure that you're upkeeping all the things. Make sure you're using air fresheners so they have a good smell in there all the time because you never know what somebody else is bringing into your car. And yeah, those would be my 3 tips.
I need to go ahead and get that Turo course. What other products that you have right now that you would recommend people that are looking to increase their financial knowledge?
The Freedom Pack is by far the most comprehensive thing that I know of on the internet. We're talking about credit. We're talking about stocks. We're talking about real estate. So I have a real estate course in there. We have a tax course in there, which is taught by a CPA. We have the vending machine courses in there. We have, what else is in there? A lot of different things are in there. So we try to give you like there's an LLC course in there. There's an investing as a group course in there. There's an investment club course in there. We try to give people like a buffet of financial freedom. So all these different things that you can be doing to become financially free. That's what we try to put together. The Freedom Pack by far, I think, is my best value because it has everything in it. You can't lose.
You can't lose. And I got to talk to you on the side about some affiliate opportunities because
okay,
I think there's overlap in our knowledge. I'm going to try to get to 2 more questions real quick before you dip on us. So when somebody says, what advice do you have for a person starting a business?
If you are starting a business, it's your responsibility to be a marketing machine. It's your responsibility to be a marketing machine. It's your responsibility to put together so many different things that can capture clients. So you need media. You need to be doing Instagram lives daily. You need to be recording podcasts, maybe multiple times per week. They can be short episodes. They can be medium episodes. You need to be going on other people's podcasts. You need to be filming content. You need to hire a videographer. Just use your cell phone. Instagram stories is huge. I recommend posting on Instagram 10 times a day. 10 times a day. And it does not have to be organic content. It can be a repost. It can be a share of somebody else's success. You can be all these different things because you want to be the place to go for your specific niche. I want to be the place to go for options. I want to be the place to go for the stock market. I want to be the place to go for all these different things. And when you become that and you get that following, now you have influence. Your responsibility is to be a marketer. Your responsibility also is to pay for advertising. A lot of people, they fail because they don't pay for advertising. They try to do everything organically. Organic can only take you so far. Why? Because there's certain reaches, there's certain like governors that Instagram and social media have in place that kind of keep you within your bubble. So somebody reached out to me and they said, hey, I want to start a business, but I live in Atlanta. I was like, do you got the internet? Because if you got the internet, you can be anywhere. I don't even know where you are in the country. You said Georgia, but I mean, you said you're from Georgia. Do you live in Georgia? I'm asking you. Do you live in Georgia?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm actually in DC.
Okay, well, yeah, even I didn't even know where you are. We still having this conversation. Going to end up sending some affiliate marketing. The internet is powerful, and so my thing is, your responsibility is to create a bunch of products and market a bunch of products. That's your business. You can do it a bunch of ways, but you got to be doing both. The best business people are the best marketers. You don't got to have the best product. McDonald's does not have the best burger, but everybody knows their theme song.
Say that. Say that. Learn marketing. Learn how to sell. Get yourself out there. Don't be afraid to fail. And with that being said, Mr. Todd Capital, can you please just leave us with some final words before you depart for the day?
I would say the most important thing that you can do is start today. Start today. Don't put it off. Don't wait. Don't talk about what you're going to do. Don't talk about what you would do. Start today with what you have, because you can't even get to your growth unless you start. A lot of people are waiting to be on my 4-year, 5-year, 6-year levels at their year zero. I wasn't even at my 4-year, 5-year, 6-year levels at year zero. So what? How do you expect to do that?
Right.
And so my point is, you got to start. You got to get going. You got to do it ugly. You got to do it cheap. You got to do it without having the budget. You got to do it without even knowing completely what you're doing. You got to get out there, because it's a journey. It's a process. But after that, nobody can take it from you. That year that you have invested into your business can never go away. You're always going to have that year that you laid that foundation, that you helped those people, that you served those people, that you came in contact with potential clients. There are people who participate in what I do now who did stuff that I was doing years ago. When I was doing like free LLC formations and investment clubs and real estate, like there's still people who participate in everything that I'm doing. If I never did it then, I would never have them now. So the responsibility for you is to take action. The difference between where you are and where you want to be is action. That podcast, it does not have to be the most polished podcast. When I first started my podcast, it was me with my cell phone on speakerphone, and I was having a speakerphone conversation, and I just recorded the conversation. Now we booked out a studio. We recorded 4 episodes in the studio with a high-def camera and some microphones. But you don't get to that point if you don't start there. The same can be said about pretty much everything we've done. We're in the process of doing a flip in Detroit. We never thought we'd be doing a flip in Detroit. In the process of trying to do a large-scale development in downtown Los Angeles, but you don't get there if you don't get into real estate. You can't even have that conversation intellectually or intelligently. So please, start where you are with what you have. Start where you are with what you have, and you will be where you want to be in 3-4 years.
Free game, people. Journey to 1,000 miles starts with the first step. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Charles Oglesby, thank you so much times 1,000 for dropping this free game on us, man. I would love to have you back on so we can continue this relationship, continue this conversation, continue to inspire people and move the conversation forward. So again, thank you for showing love, man. And I wish you a great rest of your night.
Thank you, sir. Also, for people, if you need any of the information that I have, it's all in the link in the bio. So tap that link at todd.capital, and we would love to serve you. All right, man. It was a pleasure speaking to you.
Stay blessed, brother.